my amazing people, you're welcome back again to my YouTube channel. Good morning, my amazing people. Good afternoon, good evening. I greet you all according to your time. I remain your favorite baby girl, Anointed Lady TV. If you are new to this channel, you are highly welcome. And if you are returning subscribers, thank you very much for always coming to support me. And if you have been watching, you've not subscribed, what are you waiting for, my beautiful people? Please kindly hit that red button where they wrote subscribe and also put on the notification bell so you will be getting more updates from this channel. As many that have been supporting me, may God richly bless you all. I love you all, guys. Let's watch this video below. I will be right back.
Last month's protest. So welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Good morning, Aisha. Good to have you here. Well, quickly, if you look at the front pages of the newspapers today, I don't know whether it's something you want to comment upon. These days says, with threats from Buhari police as endsars protesters beat retreat. Afenifere Pandev others caution federal government over intimidation of demonstrators. Vanguard says federal government starts fresh endsars protests in Lagos, Abuja. The Sun says heavy security deployment in Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, others. We can go on, and we've discussed this on this program this morning. It looks like government has successfully intimidated endsars protesters who, over the weekend, were talking about endsars protests reloaded too. What's your reaction to that?
First of all, my reaction to that is the fact that why is the media enabling government in this tyranny? Why is the media subtly, telling the people that it's okay for them to be oppressed and suppressed? For me, I have a big issue with that. Before we go on, I will say something. Earlier on, just before I was brought in, you talked about the fact that the protest was hijacked. And I know repeatedly, I have said this, and a lot of endsars protesters have said this. There was no hijack of the endsars protest. Nigerian government, led by Muhammad Buhari, brought in talks to attack endsars protesters, and that must be clear. And I wonder why the media consistently is using that that it was hijacked. When we saw police vehicles being used to transport thugs, we saw military vehicles being used to transport thugs, we saw security agents supervising the actions of thugs and them attacking endsars protesters. They started by attacking endsars protesters. They killed endsars protesters. A protester was killed by these thugs in Abuja. And yet, the same thugs that were brought in by government overran the government and went on a looting spree. And consistently, with the help of the media, Nigerian media, we're still having it being used as, they infiltrated endsars and all of that. Please, categorically, there was no infiltration of endsars. We saw what endsars protest was all about. It was peaceful, and the protesters did what they did within the ambit of the law. When they were attacked, they even brought in security. We saw police refusing to protect endsars protesters. We saw that in Abuja. We saw that also in Lagos. At one time, the endsars protesters, they had to go and hire their own private security because the police have refused to protect them. Even when they apprehended some of these thugs that were unleashed on them, Nigerians watched while protesters were being killed, protesters were being injured, were being maimed. These endsars protesters were able to apprehend some of them, handed up over to the police in Lagos, in Abuja. The police refused to arrest these thugs. So let's be very categorical about that. And the next thing, of course, is the fact that the Nigerian government has no right in any way whatsoever to ban protest or come down on protesters or be hard on protesters. Never. In the terms of police has no right to ban protests. And I'm sure, Ruben Abati, you remember when you were in government, and then the government that you were part of, the Good Luck Ebele Jonathan administration, decided to ban protests and said that using Umbu, the then Commissioner of Police in 2014 in Abuja, that the Bring Back Our Girls movement cannot and should not come out for a protest, that they had banned protests in Abuja. The Bring Back Our Girls movement, we went to court and we won that case against the police. And the court said that there is no way, the police has no right to deny anyone from protesting. And here we are again today, 4 years later. Nothing has changed. It's still the same tyranny from government, and those who are in government today, they have forgotten that one day they're going to be yesterday's men are doing the same thing over again. And it's very important for the media not to be seen enabling this tyranny, this brutality, this dictatorial attitude that is coming on from our government. So I would say categorically, the government has no right to stop protests, nothing, not in any way. And the president has no moral justification to even say he is going to stop any protest. This is somebody who, when he was out of government, when he wasn't in government, went on several protests. He went to court when he was tear-gassed in Kano with his running mate, late Chief Chuba Okadigo, who unfortunately died from that tear-gassing. He went to court. Pro bono, Femi Falana took him to court. They went up to the High Court, where it was stated that you do not need permission from police to hold a protest. All you need to do is notify them of the protest, and they should come to protect the protesters. Finally, I would say the Nigerian police should understand that their allegiance is to Nigeria and the Nigerian people and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and not to the president and the ruling party. And the right to protest is guaranteed under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
I'm not exactly sure what you mean by the media enabling the president's tyranny, as you've said. The same media who have been censured, who have been fined, who have been attacked, whose property has been destroyed, who have actually amplified the voices of the Sorosoke generation, are the ones who are now enablers?
So you see what they call, there's something they call conditioning, right? You tell people this is way, just like we started this now. This same media that has been attacked, that has been suppressed, that is so scared of NBC fine, and will tell you, oh, don't do this or do that, is the same media that has consistently used that government line that was in a talks, infiltrated endsars protest. Is it very hard for that same media that knows what it is to be oppressed, that knows what it is to be fined illegally, that knows what it is for voices to be shut, to call the government out and say that, no, it was the government that brought in talks. There were no talks that infiltrated. You see, that line in itself is an enabling line. You keep giving the government the leeway for them to get away from the action that we had all seen the government take. We saw the government. How is it that it's not in the media? Why is the IG of police not under fire from the media for the fact that police vehicles were used to transport dogs? Why is Buratai not under fire for the fact that military vehicles were used to transport dogs? This is the enabling.
Aisha Yusuf, it's pretty obvious you don't watch Arise News. It's pretty obvious from what you said, because if you do, you would also see that it's this same media that was the only media that did a report on the victims, you know, of the endsars, and did a concise documentary on them. So, I mean, it's obvious you don't watch Arise News. Let me talk to you about some other issues very pertinently. So is this the end of the protest, or they're going to have other protests?
So before I answer this question, what I want to do is that media is not Arise TV. So I see sometimes, you know, when you're talking, especially in Nigeria, and you talk about the person takes it personal. So when I say media, I don't mean Arise TV. Straight up, you know, when you talk about Sorosoke, and for me, I'm not one to flatter anybody or anyhow, but Arise TV was there on. But Arise TV is not the only media in Nigeria. The media is supposed to be the fourth estate. The media is supposed to be the voice of the people. So when we talk about that, don't take it personal. I'm talking about media across board. And for that is that one there. On the issue of endsars protest, one of the things that I've consistently said, and I did hear myself being referred to as a convener of the endsars protest. I'm not a convener, but I'm a huge supporter. Oh my goodness. And for me, I'm proud to be associated with the endsars protesters right from day one. Even on the 11th, when that picture, on the 11th, when that picture went viral, I sent message to all media, both local and international media. And I'm sure even some of you got that, where I said, look, I am not one of those who called for, I'm not one of the conveners, but I'm a supporter. This endsars protest was done by young people. They were amazing, and they did amazingly well. And so for me, that's one. It's left for them. They're still talking. They're still talking. Some of them called me, during the weekend, on the things plans, on the things that they're doing. It's not the end. And one of the things that I would like the Nigerian government to understand is that it is either you allow people protest peacefully or they will protest violently. People as ABC, there are no two ways about it. When we think about protest, most time people think about, when you carry placards. There are a lot of atrocities going on. Our protest is when you're rallying against the system. The peaceful protest is the one that the endsars protesters did, coming out, and because they believe in the government, they're asking the government to do the right thing. Those who are protesting violently are the ones who are out on the street, banditry, thuggery, kidnapping, and all of that. Those are also protests against the system. And it's so sad that the Nigerian government prefers and panders to the people who protest violently, then they clamp down and attack and maim and kill people who protest peacefully. It's absurd in a way. But coming back directly to the question is that the Sorosoke generation, honestly, we call them the coconut head generation. They are not giving up. You might think with the Nigerian government might think that it's winning. It's not. And I would say to them, the earlier you listen to them, the earlier you follow what they say, the earlier you throw into their demands, the better it will be for the nation. Because I tell you, this generation, this endsars generation, the coconut head generation, the younger generation, guess what? They have intelligence, they have strategy, they have social media, they have technology, and then they have creativity. And by the time they deploy this on all of us, we will not find it easy. I did a tweet yesterday where it reminded me of a saying in my language where they say, meaning they don't pour, you don't say we come from Southside, you don't speak pidgin, they sweet us. Meaning say they don't pour praise for person, but that's what the endsars protesters have done to the Nigerian government. It is all throughout yesterday. They said there was going to be, see the way the Nigerian government has been all over the place, sending security all over the place. And you would wonder that where was the Nigerian government when 78 of its citizens were killed? Their throats were slaughtered by terrorists. Where was this Nigerian government? Where were these security agents? They were nowhere to be found. But when it comes to endsars protesters, they are out of there to be found. So I think we've not seen the end of endsars protests. Protests come in different form, and I tell you, this generation are sick and tired of being hounded to death. Because what is it that the threat over them now that they will be killed? But guess what? The reason why they came out to the street in the first place is because they were being killed. The endsars protesters, the endsars protest, in the words of Florence Ozo, is the protest for survival. They are being killed under the cover of darkness. They came out in the light and said, please stop killing us. And now you are still killing them. Even if they go back, they are going to be killed more. And we've seen killings that have happened over the last...
One of the conveners of the hashtag endsars movement, and also the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement. Well, Aisha, just before we went on break, you were wondering where was the military at the time that Boko Haram was slaughtering 43 Nigerians in Jere local government in Zabamari. Well, they were very busy with a spiritual warfare seminar. And then you made a point about President Buhari. To be fair to President Buhari, when he spoke yesterday, he said, look, protest is allowed. He doesn't have anything against people expressing their preferences and, enjoying the freedom of free speech. But that what is against is hooliganism. So I think it's important for us to put all of that in context. But I would like to ask you, the president is going to address the National Assembly on Thursday, we've been told. What are your expectations? One of the things the president is going to talk about is the security situation in the country that you alluded to?
First of all, before I go on to that question, I just want to talk about this hooliganism that the president did talk about. And I think it's very disrespectful for people that we put in office to keep looking at us and telling us all sorts of things. And then citizens are the ones that are supposed to be respectful to the people in office. If there's anywhere where there's hooliganism going on, I think it's at the Aso Villa. And the president is the one presiding over that. And we've had to feel the effect of that hooliganism. And it's very unfair for the president to come out and look at protesters, people who are coming out and simply say that they are tired of what is going on in the nation and they believe the government should be able to do something, and coming out to say something of that. That is not the language that the president should be using. He has consistently over the years since he has been elected denigrated Nigerians both in and outside of the country, and every time he speaks, it's that tone that he uses, and it needs to stop. The highest office in the land of this nation is the office of the citizen. The office of the president is the highest political office in the land. And we should always remember that we are not slaves to them. We put them in there to serve us, and that's why they are called public servants.
But it will also be fair to respect the office of the president. I mean, to say that there is hooliganism at the top, that may be a bit too harsh, don't you think?
No. I'm talking about if you felt very good calling citizen, I am a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I occupy the highest office in this. And if you felt very good for the president to call me a hooligan, then you should feel very good also for me to call the president a hooligan, because it is vice versa. Respect is reciprocal. It has nothing to do with your age. He was voted in to be the president and the commander-in-chief of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He wasn't voted in to be a father or a grandfather. He wasn't voted in to call me a hooligan.
But you also agree that citizens, even when they say they are citizens, the law does not allow any citizen to break the law. So what the president was talking about yesterday was about, yes, you can exercise your rights, but the Constitution does not give you the right to break the law.
More than a dictator, and a very incompetent dictator at that. A man who watches his people being killed, and he does nothing. The terrorists said one of their men was arrested and handed over to the authorities, and they came and killed 78, slaughtered them, split their necks. The president is here to address the nation. Sadly, the head of the terrorist group has addressed the nation, and that should be what should concern every Nigerian. We need to first of all check the capacity, the mental capacity of President Muhammad Buhari, because he is not acting as someone who is in control of his full mental capacity. We need to know, in terms of capacity, whether a doctrine of necessity needs to be put in place and then get the president out, because he is not acting like somebody who knows that he is under a democracy. He probably has retrogressed and thinks that this is 1984. The president needs to know that this is not 1984. This is 2020. And Nigeria is under a democracy. And in that democracy, there's a document called the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that Constitution has allowed citizens to protest. And protest, citizens will.
Thank you very much. But is the endsars group planning fresh protests?
Well, I wouldn't know. It's left for the endsars group to decide that. But one of the things that we must know, every Nigerian must know, that whether endsars group or any Nigerian group, they have a right to come out and protest peacefully. And the Nigerian police should know that its duty is to protect the protesters and give them protection. It is not to stop anyone from protesting. And most importantly, the Nigerian police force should understand that their allegiance is to Nigeria and Nigerians and to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and not to the president and the ruling party.
All right. You've spoken well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.